The warehouse explodes with the deafening wail of air raid sirens. It's February 14th, 1945, Birmingham, England, and Major Charity Adams watches her breath crystallize in the freezing air as she pushes open the massive hangar doors. What she sees inside stops her cold. Mail. Mountains of it. Letters and packages stacked floor to ceiling in 6 aircraft hangars, creating canyons of undelivered hope. Some parcels have been sitting here for 3 years. Rats scurry through rotting Christmas cookies sent from mothers who don't know their sons are already dead. The windows are blacked out against German bombers, leaving the space in near-total darkness. There's no heat, no functioning lights, just 17 million pieces of mail and the crushing weight of an impossible mission. Across the European theater, morale is collapsing. Soldiers in foxholes scan mail call lists and hear silence. Again, they begin to believe no one remembers them. No one cares. Army officials file urgent reports. The lack of reliable mail delivery is destroying the will to fight. Letters from sweethearts, birth announcements, divorce papers, news of parents dying back home. All of it sits moldering in Birmingham while the war grinds on. The existing postal system has failed spectacularly. Career mail clerks, trained and experienced, couldn't crack it. The addresses are nightmares. Junior, U.S. Army. Buster, somewhere in Europe. 7,500 different soldiers named Robert Smith. No serial numbers. No unit designations. The Army estimates it will take 6 months to clear just the Birmingham backlog. 6 months of soldiers thinking they've been forgotten. 6 months of dying morale. 6 months the Allies don't have. Major Charity Adams turns to her 854 women and feels the weight of every eye on her. They're cold, exhausted from the U-boat attack during their Atlantic crossing just 3 days ago. Most have never sorted mail in their lives. They're teachers, students, seamstresses, not postal experts. What Adams doesn't know, what no one knows, is that in 90 days, these women will accomplish what the Army's finest said was impossible. They will devise a system so revolutionary it will save thousands of lives. And they will do it while fighting a second war. The one against the generals who don't believe black women belong in uniform at all. The mail crisis didn't start in Birmingham. It started with the invasion of Europe. By late 1944, over 7 million American military personnel, government workers, and Red Cross volunteers are scattered across the European theater of operations. They're island hopping through France, pushing toward Germany, dying in the Ardennes forest. Every day, hundreds of thousands of letters pour into distribution centers from the United States. Every day, the backlog grows larger. The problem is chaos. Soldiers move constantly, transferred, wounded, killed. Mail addressed to the 101st Airborne in one location arrives weeks after the unit has moved. Packages sent to field hospitals find their intended recipients already shipped to another facility or buried in a military cemetery. No centralized tracking system exists. No one maintains updated rosters with serial numbers cross-referenced to current locations. The Army throws resources at the problem. They assign more clerks. They create new sorting protocols. Nothing works. The mail keeps piling up. By Christmas 1944, the situation reaches critical mass. Warehouses overflow. Commanders in the field report soldiers losing hope. The phrase spreads through the ranks. No mail, low morale. Lieutenant General John C.H. Lee, commanding general of the communications zone, faces a crisis that threatens the entire war effort. Morale isn't abstract. It's the difference between soldiers who fight and soldiers who break. Without that connection to home, without those letters reminding them why they're fighting, the human cost becomes unbearable. Lee tries everything the military establishment recommends. He brings in postal experts. He implements new regulations. He threatens courts-martial for inefficiency. The expert consensus is unanimous. The backlog is too large, too disorganized, too impossible. It will take at least 6 months with a fully staffed operation working perfectly. 6 months during which the German army still has fight left in it. Meanwhile, back in the United States, the Women's Army Corps faces its own battle. The WWII has been integrated into the Army for 2 years, but black women serve in completely segregated units, relegated to menial tasks. They clean barracks, cook meals, wash laundry. Not a single black WWII unit has been sent overseas. The message is clear. Black women aren't trusted with real military missions. But the male crisis is too severe for prejudice to hold. Someone suggests the unthinkable: send the Black WACs. They need bodies. They need workers. They need someone willing to try the impossible. In December 1944, the War Department makes the call. They will form the 6,888th Central Postal Directory Battalion, the first and only all-Black, all-female unit to serve overseas during World War II. They will be commanded by Major Charity Adams, the highest-ranking Black woman in the entire United States Army. No one believes it will work. The stakes couldn't be higher. If the 6,888th fails, it won't just be a failed mission. It will be proof, to a military establishment already hostile to integration, that Black women can't handle combat zone assignments. It will close doors for a generation. Every woman in the battalion knows this. They're not just sorting mail. They're fighting for the right to serve. They're fighting for the women who will come after them. On February 3, 1945, 855 women board the converted ocean liner Ile de France in New York Harbor. German U-boats prowl the Atlantic. The war in Europe enters its final, bloodiest phase. And a group of women the Army didn't want are about to attempt a mission the experts called impossible. Charity Edna Adams was never supposed to be a soldier. Born in Columbia, South Carolina, she graduated valedictorian from Booker T. Washington High School in 1938. She attended Wilberforce University in Ohio, majoring in mathematics and physics, not exactly typical fields for a Black woman in the 1930s. After graduation, she returned to Columbia to teach junior high school math and science. She was studying part-time for a master's degree in psychology at Ohio State University when the war began. She had no military experience, no postal training, no background in logistics or supply chain management. She was a 23-year-old teacher with a love for numbers and a determination to prove herself in a world that constantly underestimated her. When the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps began recruiting in 1942, Adams saw an opportunity. Not for glory, not for adventure, but for something more fundamental: respect. She enlisted in the first officer candidate class. In December 1942, she and 3 other Black WACs became the first Black women promoted to captain in United States military history. For 2 years, she commanded Company 8 at Fort Des Moines, Iowa, the reception center for Black WACs. She was known for brutal inspections and uncompromising standards. Some thought she was too harsh. Adams knew the truth. Black women would be judged by a different standard. Perfection wasn't optional. It was survival. When the call came for someone to lead the overseas Postal Battalion, Adams hesitated. She had built something at Fort Des Moines. She had created a training system that worked. But this was bigger. This was history. She personally screened every woman selected for the 6,888th. She didn't want the best mail sorters. There weren't any with experience. She wanted problem solvers. Women who wouldn't quit when the odds turned against them. Women who understood what was really at stake. On March 2nd, 1945, standing in a freezing Birmingham warehouse, Adams makes a decision that defines her leadership style. Her official orders haven't arrived. Technically, she has no authority, but her women need a commander. The mission needs to start. She writes her own orders and assumes command. It's the first of many times Major Charity Adams will refuse to wait for permission from men who don't believe she belongs. Adams gathers her battalion that first morning. They stand in formation in the warehouse, breath fogging, staring at the mountains of undelivered mail. The moment crystallizes. This is what 17 million pieces of mail looks like. This is what impossible looks like. And here's what Adams realizes. The Army system won't work because the Army system was designed for pre-war postal operations with stable addresses and predictable movement. This war is different. The soldiers are mobile. The theater is chaotic. They need something completely new. She turns to her women and says words that will echo through military history. We have a motto now. No mail, low morale. Adams calls together her company commanders in a side room of the warehouse. Captain Abby Campbell and her other officers crowd around a makeshift table constructed from mail crates. What Adams proposes sounds insane. We're going to build a card index system, she announces. Every soldier in Europe, every government worker, every Red Cross volunteer, 7 million people, 7 million cards. The room goes silent. Captain Campbell speaks what everyone's thinking. Major, we don't have the resources. We don't have the time. We have 3 8-hour shifts and 7 days a week. Adams cuts her off. We'll work around the clock. Each shift processes 65,000 pieces of mail per day minimum. The math is staggering. Even at that pace, it's barely enough. And that's assuming they can maintain the rate without breaking down. But the real genius is the system itself. Adams designs a card index that cross-references names with military serial numbers, a unique identifier that cuts through the confusion of common names and nicknames. When mail arrives addressed to Robert Smith, the women will check serial numbers, unit assignments, last known locations. They'll use detective work, postmarks, return addresses, handwriting clues. For mail to soldiers who've been killed, they create a separate protocol. Return it to the sender with notification. Someone has to tell mothers their sons won't be reading their letters. It's the hardest part of the job. Adams divides her 855 women into 3 shifts working around the clock. No days off. No exceptions. They'll work in the freezing warehouses with minimal lighting. They'll race against the clock while German V-1 rockets, buzz bombs, rain down on Birmingham. The first night, they test the system. The women huddle over boxes, frozen fingers fumbling with letters and index cards. The pace is brutal. 65,000 pieces per 8-hour shift means over 135 pieces per minute for the entire battalion. There's no time for breaks. No time for mistakes. One lieutenant pulls Adams aside. Major, this is impossible. We're not trained postal workers. That's exactly why we'll succeed, Adams replies. We're not stuck in their failed system. But word of Adams's unorthodox methods reaches headquarters. Military brass start asking questions. A veteran postal officer reviews the plan and shakes his head. This is not Army protocol, he says. This violates every established procedure for military mail operations. He might as well have said, that's illegal. The report goes up the chain of command. Lieutenant General Lee reads it, then reads it again. The women haven't even been in Birmingham for a week, and they're already rewriting the rulebook. His staff officers recommend shutting it down, going back to established procedures, bringing in proper postal experts to supervise. But Lee remembers something. The proper experts already failed. He makes a note in the margin. Let them work. 3 weeks into the operation, the crisis explodes. A white general arrives unannounced at the Birmingham facility on a cold March morning in 1945. He's heard disturbing reports. Unauthorized procedures. Women working without male supervision. Black women giving orders. He's here to restore proper military order. He finds Major Adams inspecting the night shift. The women are exhausted, working their 3rd consecutive week of 7-day schedules. But the numbers are undeniable. They're processing over 65,000 pieces of mail every 8 hours. The backlog that looked insurmountable 5 weeks ago is visibly shrinking. The general doesn't see progress. He sees chaos. Major Adams, he says, not bothering with pleasantries. Your night shift is not present for my inspection. Sir, they worked through the night. Adams responds calmly. They're sleeping. I'm going to send a white first lieutenant down here to show you how to run this unit. The general interrupts. The warehouse goes deadly silent. Every woman in earshot stops working. This is it. This is the moment every black soldier knows is coming. The moment when competence doesn't matter. When success doesn't matter. When nothing matters except the color of your skin. Adams stands at attention. Her voice doesn't waver. Over my dead body, sir. The room erupts. Women gasp. Officers freeze. A black woman has just defied a white general to his face. In 1945, in the United States Army, the general's face turns crimson. Major, I will have you court-martialed for insubordination. I will have you brought up on charges for disobeying a direct order. Adams doesn't flinch. And I, sir, will file charges against you for using language stressing racial segregation in violation of directives from Allied headquarters. Now it's the general who goes silent. Because Adams is right. Theater Command has issued explicit orders against racist language and segregationist policies. Orders this general just violated in front of dozens of witnesses. They stare at each other across the warehouse. The entire 6,888th holds its breath. This is career suicide. This is everything they feared. One confrontation, and decades of progress could evaporate. We'll see what your commanding officer has to say." The general finally growls and storms out. Adams doesn't move, doesn't show weakness, but inside, she knows what's coming. The phone calls, the investigations, the quiet order to pack her bags and return stateside in disgrace. Except that's not what happens. Lieutenant General John C.H. Lee hears both sides of the story. He reviews the mail processing numbers. He looks at the timeline. The 6,888th has cleared over 8 million pieces of mail in less than 2 months. They're on track to finish the entire 6-month mission in 3 months. Lee picks up the phone. If you're enjoying this story of courage against impossible odds, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We bring you the untold stories of history's unsung heroes every week. And hit the bell so you never miss an upload. Now, back to Birmingham, where everything hangs in the balance. The general who confronted Adams receives new orders: observe and report back. No interference. No white lieutenant. The 6,888th will run their own operation. When the same general visits the unit later in France after the European War ends, something remarkable happens. He seeks out Major Adams. In front of her entire battalion, he apologizes. He tells them he was wrong. He says the 6888th's accomplishments are some of the most impressive he's witnessed in the entire war. Adams accepts the apology, but she never forgets what it took to get there. She never forgets standing in that warehouse, career on the line, betting everything on the belief that competence should matter more than color. The women of the 6,888th go back to work. The mail keeps moving. And somewhere in a foxhole in Germany, a soldier finally hears his name called at mail call and learns he's a father. By May 8, 1945, the numbers tell an impossible story. 17 million pieces of mail. Sorted, indexed, and delivered in 90 days. The Army estimated 6 months. The 6,888th did it in half the time, working 3 shifts, 7 days a week, processing 65,000 pieces per shift. They averaged over 195,000 pieces of mail per day. But statistics don't capture the full picture. They don't show the card index system with 7 million names cross-referenced by serial numbers, a database built by hand in freezing warehouses. They don't show the detective work, women using postmarks, return addresses, and unit patches mentioned in letters to track down soldiers whose mail was addressed to nothing but nicknames. They don't show Private Lena Bell finding a Christmas package that had been sitting in the warehouse for 3 years and somehow, impossibly, identifying the intended recipient from a faded photograph tucked inside. They don't show Sergeant Mary Barlow working through the night shift to process death notifications, carefully, respectfully returning mail to mothers who needed to know their sons were gone. The testing data is undeniable. Before the 6,888th arrived, mail delivery in the European theater operated at catastrophic failure rates. Soldiers reported going months without letters. Morale assessments showed depression, fatigue, and declining combat effectiveness directly correlated to lack of mail. After the 6,888th implemented their system, delivery rates skyrocketed. Mail that used to take months began arriving in days. The 7 million card index system meant that even poorly addressed mail could be tracked to the right recipient. The motto, "No mail, low morale," proved prophetic in reverse. Mail meant morale, and morale meant soldiers who could keep fighting. On May 8, 1945, Nazi Germany surrenders. The war in Europe is over. Most units celebrate. The 6,888th receives new orders. Pack up and move to Rouen, France. There's another backlog waiting. 2 to 3 years of undelivered mail sitting in French warehouses. The same impossible mission. The same expert prediction. 6 months minimum. Major Adams, now promoted to lieutenant colonel, and her women board trains for France. When they arrive in Rouen, they find conditions even worse than Birmingham. In addition to mail processing, they now face a new challenge: theft. Desperate French civilians, starving after years of Nazi occupation, break into warehouses to steal packages. Food, clothing, medicine, anything to survive. Adams adapts again. She implements security protocols, posts guards, but also works with French authorities to identify families in genuine need. The mission isn't just moving mail anymore. It's maintaining order in a devastated city while processing millions of pieces of correspondence. They clear the French backlog in 3 months. By the time the 6,888th completes their mission in France, the evidence is overwhelming. A report from the Communications Zone Quartermaster shows mail delivery efficiency increased by over 300% during the 6888th's deployment. Complaint rates dropped to nearly zero. Morale assessments in combat units showed measurable improvements directly attributed to reliable mail service. And then the letters start arriving. Not mail for soldiers, but letters to the 6,888th from soldiers. A sergeant from the 101st Airborne writes, "You don't know me, but you delivered a letter that told me my daughter was born. I was in a foxhole in Belgium. That letter is why I'm alive." A Navy pilot writes, "I thought my wife had stopped writing. I thought my marriage was over. Your battalion found 3 months of her letters misrouted to the wrong ship. You saved my life in ways you can't understand." A mother writes, "You returned my son's final letter to me. You did it with care and respect. In my darkest hour, that meant everything." The testimonials pile up, thousands of them, each one a life touched, each one a soldier who kept fighting because someone back home remembered them. This is why we make these documentaries, to honor the heroes who changed history. If these stories matter to you, please take 2 seconds to like this video. It helps us reach more people and share more untold stories. Comments also help, so let us know which historical figure we should cover next. Now, the incredible legacy of the 6,888th. A veteran from the 82nd Airborne, decades later, tracks down a 6,888th reunion. He's an old man now, walking with a cane. He finds a woman named Fanny Griffin McClendon, who served in Company C. "I don't know if you remember processing mail in Birmingham in March 1945, he says, voice breaking. "But I was in Germany. We'd been cut off for weeks. No supplies, no reinforcements, no mail. I got a letter my mother wrote 6 months earlier. It arrived the day before we got overrun. I kept that letter in my pocket through everything that came after. It's why I survived." He pulls out the letter, creased and faded, still in its original envelope. "I wanted you to know," he says. "I wanted you to know that what you did mattered. Because of you, I came home." McClendon holds the letter and cries. The 6,888th deployed 855 women to Europe. They processed mail for over 7 million military and civilian personnel. They worked in combat zones while German rockets fell. They cleared backlogs in Birmingham and Rouen and Paris that the armies best couldn't handle. They did it while fighting segregation, discrimination, and generals who didn't believe black women belonged in uniform. They did it without ever firing a shot. But they saved lives. Thousands of them. Maybe tens of thousands. Because no mail meant low morale. And low morale meant soldiers who quit, who broke, who didn't come home. The 6,888th made sure they came home. After the war, Charity Adams returned to Ohio State University and completed her master's degree in vocational psychology in 1946. She married Stanley Earley Jr. and became an educator, working at the Veterans Administration and teaching at several universities. She wrote her autobiography, One Woman's Army, in 1989, but she rarely gave interviews. She didn't seek fame. She didn't want parades. When asked about the 6,888th, she said simply, "We did our job. We did it well. That should be enough." The numbers from the 6888th's deployment became legendary in military postal operations. Over 17 million pieces of mail processed in Birmingham alone. 3-month turnaround on missions estimated at 6 months. A 7 million card index system built from scratch that tracked more people than lived in most countries. But the true production numbers are even more staggering. The 6888th's card index and tracking protocols became the foundation for modern military postal operations. The serial number cross-referencing system they invented in a freezing Birmingham warehouse in 1945 evolved into the database architecture used by the United States Postal Service military mail system today. Every piece of mail sent to deployed troops in Iraq, Afghanistan, or any forward operating base anywhere in the world uses descendants of systems created by black women the Army didn't want. For decades, the 6888th's story remained largely unknown. The women came home to Jim Crow segregation and a nation that didn't thank them. No medals, no recognition, just memories of doing the impossible and being told it wasn't enough. In 2018, 73 years after their deployment, a monument was erected at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, honoring the 6,888th. In 2019, the U.S. Army awarded the unit the Meritorious Unit Commendation. In 2022, Congress voted 422-0 to award the 6,888th the Congressional Gold Medal, the highest civilian honor in the United States. On April 29, 2025, in a ceremony at the U.S. Capitol, Stanley Earley III and Judith Earley, son and daughter of Lieutenant Colonel Charity Adams Earley, accepted the Congressional Gold Medal on behalf of the 6,888th. Fewer than 10 of the original 855 women were still alive to see it. Stanley Earley III stood at the podium and said, "The Congressional Gold Medal has reinforced the principle that those who dedicate themselves fully, regardless of race or gender, can be recognized at the highest levels." But perhaps the most fitting tribute came from a grandson of a 6,888th veteran, himself a Marine Corps veteran, who wrote, "I hope to grow up to be something like the one I knew and respected and loved." Charity Adams Earley died in 2002 at age 83. She never sought glory. She never demanded recognition. She just did the impossible when everyone said it couldn't be done. Sometimes that's enough. Sometimes that's everything.